This is my survey into the area, though I've included some of the circumstances of met in the radio mirror and evidence for request into liberties not received or have been denied from third parties. The cow and the fish, two things which are known to the area of Gundagai Brungle and Tumut. Out at Ajungabili they've got the Co Angus, and up at Tumut they've got the dams and trout farm, but in history there's the land of two fields. What is the land of two fields? Here's what's said about the land of two fields. Ancient Egyptian afterlife. In ancient Egypt, the land of the two fields, also known as the field of reeds, or the field of rushes, was a paradise where the dead could live eternally, similar to their life on earth. The souls of the deceased, after passing through the weighing of the heart and being deemed worthy, were brought to this land to enjoy the company of loved ones, pets, and their home as it was on earth. Now we are under the pyramids because they are connected to the magnetosphere. They control weather and the atmosphere. Really, they could be old, they'd be a story to us. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but trying to think of the complexities of our planet's biodiversity. Breaths nothing but alien engineering, but this story indicates our present age in the peacefulness of the statement. You could also consider the Bible's revelations with how they explain the lake of fire that resides in the underworld with the river Pelegeth in the place where the dead are judged. They say everyone dies the first death, but you do not have to die the second death. You can live eternally. With that said, there's the question about the biodiversity of the area, how it seems like the build-up of river banks is coded to wherever the bridges cross. Now how could that be? It's like asking which came first, the chicken and the egg, but the stone or sand, as in who built the bridges? Were they there before the stone? We are in the pyramid if this case can't be explained, and I wanted to live my life peacefully with my family and pets and friends, but my rights and liberties have been violated ever since I was a kid. The radio mirror, aka the environment, responded with Patterson's curse, a noxious purpleweed. Was this a sign of resentment in society, or is it about the opportunity of principle of communication not being abundant in the people? Is it a static world where all experience going from the static on our clothes? People say it's a simulation, but it can't be. When we die, where will we wake up? The only thing I know that could experience lapses in time is the part of the Bible about Noah's Ark and how it was a boat for survival. They say Noah lived 1,000 years, but that's not the case. That's just a symbol of society. You are safe in the sleep of hypnose caves coming from the river Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, but with a privative alpha unforgetfulness. Could this be the higher ups in the side of alien engineering? I'm still waiting for my praise to be answered. Despite knowing this, I haven't received a visit from the men in black, but I did reach out to the Jehovah Witness. They came and seen me, but I didn't give them my address. So who's really in control of our lives and the reality we live? I was attacked through electronics I own. Seemingly that was the case anyway. I even had mechanical issues with my vehicle. Are we man or machine? Does God exist? I'm not left with many options in life anymore, so I choose to believe in what I'm telling you. Does it extend into outer space too? Perhaps the stars and planet make a triangle with Orion's belt, which is aligned to the pyramids. Will I receive the help I need? Don't forget to mention the Rudd Agreement with Papua New Guinea, the RRA, which went for a length of 12 months, diverting all asylum seekers to Manus and Christmas Island, where in 2014 one died, and in the Villawood Detention Center an Iraqi hung himself. As a result, hundreds went on hunger strike. Is it the reason why the radio seems like a recording? Is it the reason to why the TV plays the same programs every 6 months? Has Hollywood gone stale, or is it all a lie? Life has lived the same circumstances for years. When I say the circumstances, I mean the circumstances of society. How could the asylum seekers agreement mean so much if it wasn't the case with the pyramid? I'm talking materialistic value. They must have come from the pyramid to project society to these links within the social media, within the TV, within the radio. That's why it's a radio mirror. If the bridges determine the age of the stone, could they be some sort of jump bridge like magnetic elements that are in the magnetosphere and draw the traffic to them? It seems localized traffic, nothing normally out of the ordinary, but there have been oversized floats. Travel and engineering place in Gundagai actually makes bridge components, beams, etc. Does it affect time orientation if you travel these roads daily? Even though the river makes it seem like time stands still when it is flowing fast, which is the only times I can manage to remember while being out there. I've been cursed. My chest feels like shit, and the locals did it to me. Because my first principal was Mr. Cow, and then it was Pip McAllister, and people I knew from school got me on the ice, and Facebook's owner Mark Zuckerberg has a cattle farm. They say when you're on the Pip on the ice, the drugs eat your muscles, so they wanted cows from me. I took Rory Castles once with me when Dad took me in the truck. The bloke saying he thinks he's got the same blood as me, and I took Jaden Pollock once with me and Dad when Dad took me, and he's the one that was the diesel mechanic. Jaden came at TT, Rory came in the DRT truck to the markets, and we smelt all this marijuana at the toilets. Took Rory Castles once with me when Dad took me in the truck, the bloke, saying he thinks he's got the same blood as me, and one took Jaden Pollock once with me and Dad when Dad took me, and he's the one that was the diesel mechanic. Jaden came at TT, Rory came in the DRT truck to the markets, and we smelt all this marijuana at the toilets. The people I smoked ice with at 15 were Callan Feltham, Boz Gilpin, Jaden Pollock, Rory Castles, Maddie Patton, Hayden Watley, Sam Red, Josh Roddy, and I think Todd Herring was there, so was Max Dodd. We all smoked it in Jaden's garage. They smoked my soul because I had anger issues in school. In South School I had anger issues. I asked Dad to work at your company, so if you're the devil and you wanted my soul, you'd have to kill all the people first smoked ice with. I don't want to lose my life or having a fuck 8 nanograms idiot as my father if I die and I'm born again. What's it mean? Just that everyone who smokes ice is a target. That's what the assumption is. Can you move to Gundagai? I need the nobody network of truck drivers. This is the truth. I was attacked by the locals in the town with chlorine at the local pool. It's an oxidizer and says it's for allergies. They put chlorine in the water supply. I went to the rodeo as a kid after going to the pool, and it was like they said because I went to the pool I was swimming in shit and piss, so I had DNA in my eyes, and that's why I'd get hay fever at the rodeo, because I'd see spirits. But sure, I didn't know that they claimed it to be hay fever from Patterson's curse. People say Patterson's curse is a dirty weed, but it is the color of royalty going from the curtains in the Sydney Opera House. So I gather people say Gundagai is a hell, the lake of fire in Revelations 20 seemingly, but the locals aren't religious, not the people I've known, so they just damn it all. They don't want to help, they just want to bring you down. Can they fix it? Can I have a normal life not only in this town but in this world if it is one? This is the sad reality since they attacked me because they all smoked it, but it seems to had been chlorine from the radio mirror. If I'm going die, but it suggests that I'll live again. I don't think I will does, but if I did I'd love again. And why did the school need to get the same fence as me? Am I forever in hell? Evidence suggests this might be the case, or is it symmetry? See me try cemetery where dead men lie, because the school took us to the graveyard and I did receive medication that could be related to somebody in the graveyard, but it wasn't the graveyard we visited. There has to be a new law for my defense of these unreal people. First, you must explain to me the type of world we're in, whether it's spirit or reality, because these people act like ghosts their whole life. Then I get attacked on my mind because I sold a JBL speaker for ice to one person that attacked me with it while their relative attacked me on it while I owned it. There needs to be some type of defense. They've taken my ability to think in the open mind space, which nobody owns. Somehow the people like Peter French and Kimberly Scudder can manipulate it. Drugs are fucking drugs. It's got nothing to do with drugs. I was fine since day one out of hospital. They can't take my rights away. I need new laws to make my defense in the area of intellectual property, or if mental health can write a cease and desist letter to these people on my behalf. Peter French, K. Emberly Scudder, Hayden Smith, Matt Henry, Harry Jones. They've been doing nothing but trying to kill me, attacking me on the power, attacking me on the speaker. They're a joke. Society was never involved. They just wanted what they could get from the radio mirror. Holden and Ford are shut down now in Australia. In what world? But I need to know the laws of the fabric of existence before they can make changes in my life. Prove to me why life's worth living, because if this doesn't, what does? Going from how they can overshadow my life with their personal lives, then attack my mind. They are worthless people. I forget the word to explain the narrative of attack on my name, forsaken, using the past which I had nothing to do with. I hate the fact they can do the things they do. The word was of old age. I just can't believe it. Really, why can't people just let you live your life? How would you feel if you were violated on your mind like that? Nobody spoke to me for 10 years. Sure, I got ice from these people, but they never used to be the people I see for ice. They never told me anything at all. Sure, they said a few words, nothing about me, but I want them dead for what they did. It's not possible to do what they did. I like reality, but now they've damaged my mind. Reality is delusional in a logic sense, like they're squatting on the land over there. I go to listen to music on SoundCloud and they go from Johnny, like they listen to it all and try to influence the stuff I want to hear on my mind, because it's clearly a radio mirror. SoundCloud. I'm over the bullshit. I want them to die for what they did. A lot of people do drugs. Why do I have these types of issues? These people aren't on my fucking brain. They aren't even in real life. They're foul beings that shouldn't exist, that have been around most of my time here in town. Peter, not as much. Can I reference the movies like The Hills Up Eyes in my defense, since there's the radio station Sound of the Mountains? It's a load of shit. How can I be happy in my own world with entrapment like this? From who? The radio mirror. Nah, they were using my mind while I was on ice or something for the influence to manipulate the radio mirror. How can they tell me how life is and what it's about when they have a completely different life? A cease and desist letter could eject them into the space they want if it's on my behalf, going from their influence in my life. I want the cease and desist letters to be sent to the people. If it wasn't the people, the sender will still see it delivered, meaning if it was magic, they will receive the letter still. I want them to be ejected into their own space if it's on my behalf, while making the letter out still on my behalf. Meaning if the things they manipulate is based on my sole individual, they will be ejected into their own space. I'm not looking in the mirror here. The postcode is 2722. My own father blocked my number. He's called since, but still rarely company s home. I think it's his work being on Diggers Road, because the NRL I used to play it, but it seemed like I could play it again because that was the town society or something. It could mean no real life. It's a joke. It really is. I could even begin to think what their argument would be. It's a radio mirror. Life is all in your head at a young age. The term cut from the same cloth suggests everyone knows everything all on one tree. The Bermuda Triangle or the Tree Guardian. It's nothing to do with the war, but warplanes went missing there, so what's it mean? Does it mean anything about dislike in the war? Possibly. That's why I'm saying fuck the diggers. They basically murdered my father because he ain't coming home. I was attacked on my mind since I brought something online and sold it for ice. It was a JBL Party Box 1000. I wonder to myself how I got attacked like that, and it makes me think of the time I wore a Nazi flag like a cape to see what people would do, and the coppers took a photo of it. James McCarthy took the photo. So looking at the war and who it was, and looking at where we are now with the Aboriginal flag and the German having the same colors to where Hitler kept his gold in Swiss banks, could be related to the Swiss vitamins kept on the shelf in supermarkets. Are we in Australia or are we in hell? The radio mirror. Our own V-zone. Is it alive? Are we in reality, matter, or gas? A hallucination? Because I feel like I've been violated since I wasn't taught these laws, but that's why I say, is it robot renaissance, the age of technology? You only need to listen to the radio once a day over 10 years to see the radio doesn't really change, neither do the shows on TV really. What is there in life that we don't know? I got attacked from the radio mirror. I'm probably going to die, but it will do it justice if people know the truth and how I got attacked. There was coppers coming around Catherine Patterson. They showed up when I burnt my hand on the fire out the front drinking Nelson County. Then they gave me a fine for playing music, and I seen that James McCarthy go to the doctors also when I went there once. Like they constantly checked up on me, but on the other hand I got my mind attacked from Kimberly Scudder and Peter French. They want to ruin my health because the coppers took the photo of the flag on my back like a cape. He told me to take it off but took a photo still. But there's always two sides to a story, meaning there must be some people or narrative that can help me. So Slim Dusty wrote track winding back to Gundagai, okay, but Slim Dusty also wrote Duncan, okay, but Slim Dusty wrote pub with no beer. So that's the third fact, because there's two Duncan family names in town here. There's a dirt road of Tumut Street, that's Ferry Road, as that's Slim Dusty. The track winding back to Gundagai. My father works at Damarange Transport South Werribee on Diggers Road, and we living in Gundagai where there's an Anzac Grove. My father's old work was at Thompson's Transport, where the owner's son's name is also Scott, but the owner of Thompson's Transport is a member of the Lions Club and owns CDM Logistics with Ray Ablett's Transport, Australia's national carrier, it says on the door. But now Dad doesn't come home anymore, which is not like him. He always came home. I don't know if it's the locals or the company being on Diggers Road to why I was attacked by the serpent, but I got attacked on the mind twice in total, at Peter French's house out at Happy Valley and over North Gundagai at Kimberly's neighbor's house. Both times when I heard dogs barking, they attacked my mind. I'm hoping I can be fixed, and I'm hoping my father he be trouble-free and healthy, but I need to know, is it a curse? Because Peter French forsaken my name with his existence, and the fact his stepdad was called Bear and Bear went to jail, he did. But don't forget to mention the problem with the Bundaberg rum. Can the date used to say 1941 not 1942, the German flag being the same colors as the Aboriginal one? Is it all the radio mirror? It's like Damarange murdered my father because he's not coming home anymore and I have a German last name. They attacked me from the speaker. They made the app I use look terrible and there is no serious music, like they don't want me expressing myself or my emotions. That's why they attacked me. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Yeah, nice bro. I'm gonna see if I get static back and I take my old anti-static still in the plastic and get my money back for the one I got tonight where the plastic was damaged. I haven't noticed any static on my cloths or bed now, so if I get my money back for the one I got months ago but had no receipt, I should get the static back. I asked the worker why's it got plastic on it and she said so people don't spray it in the store. What a crock of shit. Who's gonna sow in Woolworths? Bro, I had things happen where I heard Matt Henry go past while I was on the bed 5 o'clock in the morning. I was on the mattress. Something to do with the mattress or something, because the mattress gets all these cotton balls over it from the friction. But it sounded like he walked past my window and he don't live with Andy anymore. That's why I need a rule book of how the world of the radio mirror works, man. You can take ice and use your brain frequency to manifest or something. I gave up the ice. They want to attack me while I'm in bed. I woke up one morning after opening the window having breathing trouble and I looked at the window. The window was closed. Matt Henry was hanging around Harry Jones. Harry was going out with Casey Polson. Matt was with Bridget Crossley and Ian Polson, and Chris Crossley was doing my housework. Given how the war happened in Afghanistan after 2001 and the World War II plane in 1945 Flight 19 went missing, and say this relates to the Bermuda Triangle. It's funny how Kevin Rudd signs that thing. I didn't record it, but he said active for 12 months, then them asylum seekers doing hunger strikes and the radio not changing, and that it must be some sort of curse from the pyramid. All the music is from after 2011, the music that's played on the radio all the time, but it's only 2012 to 2014 minus 15. Does nobody see an issue with this? This is what they were on about the RRA radio recording Australia. What does it mean given everything is a radio mirror? Does it mean we are trapped in what we know going by the pyramid? Everything is projected from thoughts. How long can you occupy yourself before you notice too much? An Iraqi bloke hung himself in Villawood Detention Center after being there for 2 years, having his application rejected twice after Kevin Rudd signs a deal to not grant asylum seekers asylum in Australia, instead detaining them in detention centers on Manus and Christmas Island. Now, have you heard the 12 Days of Christmas song? 7 geese a-laying, 6 swimming swans, 5 golden rings. Sure, it's talking about space, but it also refers to the Bermuda Triangle or the Tree Guardian. The letters conform. Are Afghanistan people of the sun and desert? Should we refer to Egypt and the pyramids at this because it's the magnetosphere? It's what we know. It's serious technology. Australian immigration and asylum. This article is more than 11 years old. Manus Island. A troubled history. This article is more than 11 years old. High rates of depression and under-resourced medical facilities are among the criticisms leveled at the PNG Center. Helen Davidson. Friday, the 19th of July 2013, 17.38 AEST. Share. The offshore immigration detention center on Papua New Guinea's Manus Island, which is set to be expanded under the federal government's new asylum seeker policy, is one of the most controversial processing centers in the Australian network. High rates of depression and anxiety among detainees, woefully under-resourced medical facilities, and a lack of access for human rights organizations are just some of the criticisms that have been leveled at the detention center. Manus Island opened in 2001 along with another facility on Nauru under the government of J. H. N. Howard as part of the Pacific Solution response to large numbers of people seeking asylum by boat. Among the 1,637 asylum seekers processed between the two centers were the 433 passengers from the Tampa. Both centers were heavily criticized for the conditions asylum seekers lived in and the lack of access given to human rights organizations. The Australian Human Rights Commission was denied assistance by the Department of Immigration in accessing Manus for inspection. Kevin Rudd closed both centers in 2008, by which time no asylum seeker had been held at the Manus Island Center since the last refugee Aladdin Sasalam left in 2004. Sasalam was the sole detainee for 10 months at a cost to Australia of $250,000 a month. In November 2011, the Gillard government reopened the center, who owe to the outrage of Amnesty International and refugee groups who owe with 19 Iranian and Sri Lankan asylum seekers flown in from Christmas Island with federal police officers, Department of Immigration Staff and Medical Staff. In April 2013, ABC TV's Four Corners revealed a desperately under-resourced medical facility with no places for children, according to a doctor who worked in the Center on behalf of International Health and Medical Services, IHMS. At the time, the Australian government was paying IMHS $2.5 million a month to provide health services for the Manus Island and Nauru centres. Gillard and the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, Peter O'Neill, reached an agreement in late May to begin a tender process for construction to make the centre permanent. The government wanted to increase the capacity to hold 600 asylum seekers, including families, and 200 staff. In July 2013, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees released a damning report on the state of the center, finding that every asylum seeker housed there displayed signs of depression and anxiety. The most recent transfer of asylum seekers to Manus Island was in July 2013, with 18 single adult males moved under escort from Australian Federal Police. It was the 18th transfer since the reopening. Who so? Kevin Rudd signed the RRA and I was attacked by the serpent. It was my relative. I think I walked to McDonald's, got food, sat on the seat just down the road from where Robot Hartshaw's house was. I had a conversation about my auntie, how she said Billy moved over north. We eventually got to the part of the conversation where he asked about the length of height of his lawn. I told him how low I cut mine and then he spat on the ground as I was walking away and I seen black weeds. Then something went different in my lungs, so I was attacked. Purple is the color of royalty, the people at the Opera House think, but I think Patterson's curse is all about my resentment on society and the world, given how it attacked the soul through hay fever and the terrorist activity on America with the Afghanistan war. They were on about the Hollywood movies, for example, given how the war happened in Afghanistan after 2001 and the World War II plane in 1945 Flight 19 went missing in, say this relates to the Bermuda Triangle. It's funny how Kevin Rudd signs that thing. I didn't record it, but he said active for 12 months, then them asylum seekers doing hunger strikes and the radio not changing and Tor Street when you need to use the Tor browser. The narrative from going to Kimberly's was they were thinking I sold my soul because I got ice on Tor Street when you need to use the Tor browser to access the deep web, something I only did once to look at drugs on the dream market. That's why I object to their thinking that I sold my soul. They can't take my dream, my intellectual property, but nothing stopped them trying, and they did something I thought would never be achievable in reality, let alone the abilities of the average person, all through something I used every day and paid a lot of money for. But I assure you I never brought anything from the deep web. I don't know why they seemingly are negative in life, but I was attacked like I said, and from what it looks like they attacked me with witchcraft in the sense of the narrative of the street they lived in. I walked to her house and stopped at 32 Tor Street because the hill was steep, and I said it's like walking up Everest to the lady putting out her bin. Is she a factor in the interaction on that street? Did they affect my mind so I could be attacked later by the serpent, or was it Peter French in a different ghostly body? My freedom's been affected by these people, all for something imaginary. What did they expect me to be? They expect me to be nothing like them, A's in the same level of society. Who Mount Meru. In Hindu and Jain cosmology, Mount Meru is the central mountain of the world, believed to be located at the center of the universe and the source of all rivers. Ting, but there's the 5 rivers of the underworld to be considered. I consider the information about the magnetosphere coming from liquid metal in the Earth's core, but really, when did freedom of information become a concern or a problem? Maybe when it's so accessible. I'm talking about technology in our hands. The spaces we put ourselves into could be the underworld taking over, since OTS stated the only information they've gotten about the Earth's core is from surveys on earthquakes. It's hard to picture Earth's matter, but you could look at its environment to given each part an elevation example, as in the attic or the basement. But technology and man's desire take over. The freedoms become requirements, cars, transport, etc. I don't think anyone's sold their soul. I don't think anything of who these people are. I just think I want to know the appropriate authority within the set reality's parameters. The World Wide Web is a massive source of information, but you'd think there would be more options on there in the material you look for, social media or otherwise, which again makes the world seem empty. Put against the face, there are billions of people. How I see it, man, were my eyes attacked by the chlorine in the water with the shit and piss? Because when I went to the rodeo I'd get hay fever, but was it as if there was DNA in my eyes and I was seeing their spirits, or am I an innocent man in the underworld? As a kid though I went to the rodeo and I'd get hay fever. I even got it smoking pot with my friends once, though I don't get it anymore, but it was all an attack on my experience with the world. There's a book called Thoth the Emerald Tablets. It refers to the halls of Amenti. Is this what my experience could be? A so-called hall of mirrors, but was it the pool that contributed to the innumerable amount of people in public interactions? I say innumerable because really who's counting? I didn't sell my soul at the rodeo or the pool. This can't be the underworld. Does the term cut from a different cloth dictate on the back and that we are all in the same boat, all a part of the same tree? Here's a bit about the story of Noah. I wrote 0-3. So in the beginning there was Adam and Eve. They lived in the medieval with serpent, and anyway that world got destroyed and Noah's ark was sent with all the animals from the Garden of Eden. But while that was happening, Egypt took 350 years to build the pyramids. They got a history, and that Jesus coming up in Palestine in his own story, so all have maximum influence in their worlds based on what they know and who they are. Abraham's a prophet God sent to new land. Did find it, so he went to Egypt after he said I'll make an altar. Noah ark coming at this time anyway. Abraham get there, they take his wife and animals, kill him. Then Jesus was going there about the evil through did to his prophet while talking he's Bible through the deserts, and he get killed by them too. Then the world became one. You ever wonder why Egypt so quiet? Noah was 600 when the floods came. He died at 950, so it took Egyptian 350 years to build the pyramids. Okay, that's that, but what if we only experienced reality as a mirror of the mind in physical matter? I mean, how many years has the radio played the same music, and how long has there not been any blockbuster Hollywood films? All after the war and asylum seekers seeking asylum. The world has not kept hold of the collective thought of its nations. I mean, are we really living the same time on repeat, not moving forward as a country in services and academics, literature and movies, etc.? Because it all starts with an idea. How far can it take you? Could we really just be living the dream? Could this only be the beginning to life? What are your thoughts? Since I was attacked with streaming services, social media, and product purchases, I think I can say it's a radio mirror, and life must be just that, a dream which I was attacked in. You understand? If I die before you and I wake up and remember all of this, you ruined my peace and my freedom. I will make sure you receive the same first. It was my license with coppers saying it's a bit of a cat and mouse games to my music, and's how I play it. You attacked me. Just how long will life go on in the ark? Maybe that's why it's said that lightning is found to be holding the heavens up. Also, to add to the RRA radio recording, Australia, the same midday movies would play every 6 months within a 12-month period, and it'd be the same thing with movies. They'd repeat themselves. The question is, where are we going? How far do we need to travel? If life is what you make it, how can you be attacked? They used my mind against me. There's no way in denying that, but I never kneeled to their order. They had to use wicked tactics and dark magic. Where's my life? I am entitled to, going by the land of two fields narrative.